Hi everyone. Hope you all are good. We are here for grade 7 math. You can find all the lessons on aplusstudents.com. You have to log in there using your email address and password is provided by the administrator. Then you have to select math from the subject tab. Scroll down to grade 7 and then click on view all lessons. So there you can find a list of the chapters. We're going to start with the chapter proportional relationships, and the lessons we're going to cover today are: find the constant of proportionality from a table, identify graphs of proportional relationships, find the constant of proportionality from a graph, and write equations for proportional relationships. Please make sure you have your notebook and pencil so that you can note down the important examples and definitions as well. Here I am on grade 7 math. The chapter we're going to start with is proportional relationships. Let's just start with the lesson, that is find the constant of proportionality from a table. Let's just start with the lesson. So the first example is this table shows how the total pages of notes in Linda's notebook depends on the number of hours she spent in class, right? So you have the time in class she spent 12 hours and the number of pages is 12. Then she spent 15 hours, the number of pages is 15, right? You have to find how many pages of notes does Linda take during an hour of the class, right? You have to find the proportionality constant in the question, right? This table shows how the total pages of notes in Linda's notebook depends on the number of hours she spent in class, right? So proportional quantities have a constant ratio. You have to find a ratio, right? The constant ratio is called the constant of variation. The constant of variation often represents the rate of a rate or a cost. How do we find the constant of proportionality? You have to divide y by x, right? Number of pages is y and the number of time she spent in class is x. So you have to divide 12 by 12 y over x for this one and y over x 15 by 15 one. So you can see Linda take one page of notes during an hour of a class. That means that one is the constant of variation, right? Let's just start with the test question. This table shows how the total pages of This table shows how the total pages of notes in Linda's notebook depend on the number of hours she spent in class. Number of pages time she spent in class is 12 hours and the number of pages she read in class is 12, right? Then the other value is the number of time in class is 15 hours and the number of pages is 15. How many pages of notes does Linda take during an hour of the class? 12 hours she spent, she takes 12 pages. 15 hours she spent, she takes 15 pages. So basically you need to calculate the constant of variation. You have to do y by x for each value. For 12 by 12 it is 1, 15 by 15 it is 1. So that means the constant of variation is 1. That means in each 1 hour class she take one page. The correct one page notes. The correct option is one page. Got it? The correct option is one page. Okay, the next one is this table shows how the amount Mike earns from yard work depends on the number of hours he works. How much money does Mike earn per hour, right? So the time he spent is 2 hours and the money he earn is $12, right? Then the time he spent 3 hours and the money he spent is 8 hours, right? You have to calculate the constant of variation. The constant of variation is y over x, right? So for the first values, that is y is 12, x is to 12 over 2 is 6. For the second value, that is 18, 18 over 2 is 18 over 3 is 3 times 6 is 18. That means the money he spent per hour is $6. The correct option is $6. The correct option is $6, right? The money Mike earn per hour is $6. This table shows how the total number of postcards Seema buys is related to the number of days she spent on vacation. Postcards Seema has bought. She spent 4 days on vacation and she bought 8 cards, right? Then she spent 7 days on vacation and she bought 14 cards. How many postcards did Seema buy during 1 day of vacation? So, which is the correct option? Which is the correct option? The correct option is yes, that is 2 postcards on 1 day of vacation. The correct option is 2 postcards. Okay, the next one is this table shows how the number of cookies Trisha can bake is related to the amount of flour she has. So how many cookies can be made with 1 scoop of flour? The scoops of flour is 2 scoops and the cookies she made is 10. So which is the correct option? The constant of variation is very good. That is 5 cookies. The correct option is 5 cookies. Okay, the next one is the table shows how the cost of Joe's retirement party depends on the number of guests. So, what are the What is the cost per guest? You have 4 guests, the cost is 12. You have 5 guests, the cost is 15. Which is the correct option? Very good. That is $3. The cost per guest is $3, right? Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just move on to our next lesson. And the next lesson is identify graphs of proportional relationships. So let's just see the graphs of the proportional relationships, how they looks like, right? The equation describes the relationship between x and y. The equation is y equals 3x, right? Complete the table and select the graph that shows the relationship. So basically, each row in the table of xy values represents an ordered pair, right? An ordered pair is xy tells you the location of a point on the coordinate plane. The x value tells you the horizontal position and the y value tells you the vertical position, right? First, you have to calculate the missing values. Use the equation y equals 3x. You have to find the missing values for when x equals 2 and when x equals 3. Y equals 3x. So replace the x with 2, that is 3 times 2, right? And 3 times 2 is 6, right? So that means here you have 6. Then the second one is you have to evaluate for x equals 3. So replace x with 3. So that is 3 times 3 equals 9. So the correct option is 9, right? So you have to use this table of values and you have to draw a graph like this. The table of values, the values are 0, 0, 1, 3, 2, 6 and 3, 9. So here is the graph. Here is the origin, that is 0, 0. Then you have 1 and 3. X is 1, here is x1 and y is 3, here is y3. So here is the point, right? The next one is x is 2, y is 6. So here is x is 2 and go like this. In you have to make a point in front of 2 and 6. So here is x2 and here is y6, right? Then you have 3 and 9. Here is 3 and here is 9. So just join these points to make a line. So that is the line that satisfies the given equation. Got it? So how do we identify a graph? You just have to match the table of values from the graph, right? If the table of values on the graph and on the table, they are exactly same, that means that the graph is the correct one, right? Use this. Okay, let's just start with the practice question. This equation describes a relationship between x and y. The equation is y equals 2x. Complete the table and select the graph that shows the relationship. Let's just complete the table first, right? The equation is y equals 2x. So you have to find for x equals 2 and x equals 3. Let's replace x y with 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. Here you have 4. Then x is 3. Replace x with 3. 3. 2 times 3 is 6. So here is the pair of values, that is 0, 0, 1, 2, 2, 4 and 3, 6. Now let's just match the first graph. 0, 0. That means the graph must start from the origin, right? Then you have 1, 2. Here is x is 1, y is 2, here is 1, 2, right? Then you have 2, 4. Here is 2 and here is 4. Then you have 3, 6. Here is 3 and here is 6. You can see all the 4 point match with this graph. So this is the correct option. Got it? The correct option is option number 1. You can see the second graph. This graph is starting from here, not from 0, 0. So you can also see the difference between both the graphs. So the first one is the correct option. This equation describes the relationship between x and y equals 4x. Complete the table and select the graph that shows the relationship. Okay, so let's just complete the table first, then we'll identify the graph, right? Y equals 4x. You have to evaluate on x equals 1, right? So that is 4 times 1. 4 times 1 is 4. So here you have 4, right? Then x2. You have to do 4 times 2. 4 times 2 is 8. So here you have 8, right? So just match the graph. You can see the difference between both the graphs is option number 1 is the correct option. How I'm not going to match the values. There is a big difference on both the graphs. See here. The value is 0, 0. The graph is starting from the origin, but here the graph is starting from the second one. This graph is not starting from the origin, right? The graph is starting when x equals 0 and y is 2. You don't have any point 0, 2 in the table. Do we have? When x is 0, y is 0. We don't have any 0 and 2, right? So option number 1 is the correct option. Got it? This equation describes the relationship between x and y. Y equals 3x. Complete the table and select the graph that shows this relationship. So which is the correct option? Just look at the graphs and see which is the correct option, option 1 or option 2. The equation is y equals 3x, right? Just complete the value. X is 2, 3 times 2, that is 6. Here you have 6. X is 4, that is 3 times 4, that means 12, right? Okay, if you replace the x with 0, that is 3 times 0, the y is 0. That means the graph must start from the origin. You can also match these values. Here you have x is 1, y is 3. Here you have x is 2, y is 6. Here you have x is 3 and y is 9. Here you have x is 4 and y is 12. These are the values here, 3, 6, 9 and 12. Isn't it? Option number 1 is the correct option. Got it? Okay, now you for the second one you can use your notebook and pencil and see which is the correct option. Y equals 5x. Complete the table first and then see which is the correct option. Here is the first graph and the second graph. The equation is y equals 5x and here is the table of values. So which is the correct option? Yes, the correct option is option number 1 is the correct option, right? Option 1 is the, because you can see here you have 0, 0. The graph must start from the origin and the second one is not starting from the origin. That is a big difference. So option number 1 is the correct option. Okay, the equation. Okay, the next one is y equals 4x. Complete the table and select the graph that shows the relationship. So, which is the correct option? Yes, that is option number one is the correct option. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just move on to next lesson. And the next lesson is find the constant of proportionality from a graph. So how do we find a constant of proportionality from a graph? The graph shows how the cost of Mitchell's birthday party depends on the number of guests. What is the constant of variation? You have to evaluate the constant of variation. So basically the constant of variation is the slope, right? That is change in y divided by change in x. So you have to select any 2 points on the graph. You have to evaluate the change in y divided by change in x. So the 2 points on the graph are the one that are marked red, right? Here you have 0, 0, and here you have 10 and 30, right? So the slope is m equals change in y divided by change in x. So the first value is always the x value. The second values are the y values, right? So you have 30 minus 0, that is 30. 10 minus 0, that is 10. So 30 divided by 10 equals 3, right? That means the slope of the graph is 3. The constant of the variation is $3 per guest. Got it? The correct option is $3 per guest. Okay, let's just start with the practice questions. Okay, this graph shows how the amount of dough Jonathan has prepared is related to the number of hours he has spent working at the bakery. So here is the graph given. You have to calculate the constant of variation. So the constant of variation is the slope, that is change in y divided by change in x, right? That is y equals change in y divided by change in x. So just select any 2 points on the graph, right? You can select any 2 points. This one has the coordinates 0, 0, and this one has 2 and 4, right? That would be change in y. This is y values, this is x value. 4 minus 0 divided by 2 minus 0. That is 4 over 2, 2. That means the constant of variation is 2 kilograms per hour. The correct option is option number 1. That is 2 kilograms per hour. So basically, when you have to calculate the constant of variation, that means you need to calculate the um, slope, right? So that is 2 kilograms per hour. Got it? The correct option is 2 kilogram per hour. Okay, the next one is how this graph shows how the amount Sam earns from yard work depends on the number of hours he work. So what is the constant of variation? So whenever you have to calculate the constant of variation, you need to select any two one. Let me just tell you an easiest way, right? Here is the 2 points on the graph, right? Just join these 2 points like this and make a triangle, right? You have one, two, three, four, five blocks here and one here. The vertical distance is change in y. So change in y is 5, change in x is 1. So the correct option is 5. The value is $5 per hour. That is the easiest way to calculate the slope. So that is $5 per hour. The correct option is $5 per hour. Okay, then for the next one, you have to evaluate. The next one is the graph shows how the number of plants Wesley can have in his backyard is related to the number of seed packets he purchases. What is the constant of variation? So, which is the correct option? The correct option is yes, that is 2.5 plants per seed packet. Very good. The correct option is option number 1. This graph shows how the total pages of notes in Alan's notebook depends on number of hours she spent in class. What is the constant of proportionality? So which is the correct option? The correct option is this one is $1. 1.5 hours per, yes, that is 1.5 pages per hour. The correct option is 1.5. Right? Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just move on to next lesson. So the next lesson is write equations for proportional relationships. So now we're going to learn how do we write down the equations, right? You are given with a table, you have to write down the, you have to find the relationship between x and y values, and then you have to write down the equation, right? Okay, just look at the first example. Fill in the missing numbers to complete the linear equation that gives the rules for this table. So you have to find a rule, right? Just look at the relationship between x and y values. X is 1, y is 22, right? 1 times, you have to find 1 times what number equals 22. For the second one, 2 times the missing number equals 44. Basically, you have to find this missing number, right? This is the rule. Okay, when x is 3, this is x and this is actually the number you need to find. 3 times what number is 66? And 4 times what number is 88? That must be a constant number. When you multiply them 1 2, that is 22. 1 times 22 is 22, 2 times 22 is 44, 3 times 22 is 66, and 4 times 22 is 88, right? That means the equation is y equals 22x. Got it? You have to find the relationship between x and y values, right? That is y equals 22x. The correct option is y equals 22x. Let's just start with the practice questions. Fill in the missing number to complete the linear equation that gives the rule for this table. So, which is the correct option? Okay, just look at the x and y value. 1 times what number is 5? X is 2. 2 times what value is 10? 3 times what value is 15? And 4 times what value is. So, which is the correct option? Yes, the correct option is 5. 1 times 5 is 5, 2 times 5 is 10, 3 times 5 is 15, and 4 times 5 is 20. So, the missing number is 5. Got it? The equation is y equals 5x. Got it? Okay, the next one is fill in the missing number to complete the linear equation that gives the rule for this table. So, which is the correct option? So, which is the correct option? The correct option is yes, that is y equals to x, option number 2 is the correct option. Fill in the missing number to complete the linear equation that gives the rule for this table. So which is the correct option? Yes, that is y equals 9x. The correct option is y equals 9x. Fill in the missing number to complete the linear equation that gives the rule for this table. So which is the correct option? The correct option is y equals 24x. Option number 1 is the correct option. The next one is fill in the missing number to complete the linear equation that gives the rule for this table. So which is the correct option? Which is the correct option? The correct option is y equals 16x, right? Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. So we were working on grade 7 math. We're working on grade 7 math. The chapter we're working on is proportional relationships, and the lessons we have covered today are find the constant of proportionality from a table, identify graphs of proportional relationships, find the constant of proportionality from a graph, and write equations for proportional relationships, right? So please make sure before the next session you can complete all the practice questions for the lessons we just did. That is your homework until next session, right? So if you need more help with any of the lesson, you can contact any tutor on the Skype. They are available from Monday to Friday, 5 to 9, or either you can join me in the interactive session that would be daily from 4 to 5 and from 9 to 10, right? So if you have any questions related to the lessons we have just finished, you can ask. I'm here to answer all your questions and confusions if you have any. No questions? Okay, that's all for today. See you in the next session. Bye, everyone.